Hello and welcome to the 8th round of the Skill Issue Fantasy Series 2000. We are at America, at Daytona, for round 8, and coming into the qualifying lap here. This first turn is a bit of a blind spot, and actually, for me, the hardest turn to enter and exit, but making it through, going into the almost chicane, gonna break between the 1 and 2 boards here, and coming into traffic on the qualifying lap, so just got to, unfortunately, take a bit of a tighter line than I would have liked. But we are out of the first hairpin, headed towards the very fun sweeping left, which you can just keep flat out. Braking hard before you get to the cones for the second hairpin. Look at that on the infield. 2 hairpins in one sector. You gotta love that. And coming along out of that hairpin into the hard left, which will get us back onto the ovals. Super important not to clip too much of the curb, and you gotta be so delicate with the throttle in these cars coming out of that turn. That's a little bit of a spoiler for later. You might see the back end of the car facing the front, and we're on the oval now, which is just so great for overheating your tires. Getting through that first oval curve, we are headed down this mini straight towards the bus stop, braking right at the start of those Rolex boards, coasting through a little bit of power if you haven't overshot any of the corners, and just foot flat in third gear coming out of that intersection there. Coming down along the I just said intersection instead of corner. You know what, I'm going to keep it. Coming along the second to last corner here, which is the banked oval. And as we head along the last little bit here towards, I was about to say a start-finish straight, but it's really more of a start-finish, banking and finishing the lap. Good enough in the moment for pole, but let's see where that shakes down. And it would, in fact, be good enough for pole by half a second ahead of Mark Crow. And in third place, we have the man named after a pasta. Not bad for a track that I'd previously only played in Gran Turismo 7, and actually I really ended up loving this track. Looking forward to some racing. Let's go. So the race is on the rolling start. We got the 5 red lights, and as the green lights pop on, just trying not to spin out the car on the banking by putting too much power down, losing a position off the hop, going into that first corner, and it turns out I've been braking way too early because there go 3 positions in the first corner. And as we come to the mini almost chicane here, managing to hold third, almost clipping the front wing off of the Italian pasta car behind. And going to that first hairpin, unfortunately down 2 positions. But we've got a couple of straights between these hairpins in the road section, so not really going to grab that much slipstream. But as we go into the next braking zone, I have to be cautious because I've done a little bit of offline racing on this track just to practice. Not really sure where the AI is going to brake. Come through both of those hairpins clean, coming out of the road section out on that left. Too tight of a line, unfortunately, and a little bit of sliding on the power there, and going into that first banked oval, still in P3. Now, what I do know is that the bus stop chicane coming up is a great place to make up ground on the AI cars, or in fact on the online cars if you happen to do that, because if you manage to nail the entry, you can coast through and just dab some power. So getting some of that distance back from the car in front, and really getting some generous track limits ignoring by the stewards of this fake race. As we come along the second to last banking turn, taking a position back and getting squeezed into the wall, but not quite. I do not have a good track record on these banked tracks, as seen by the video where I tried to do over racing for the first time. Losing it a little bit, going to the first turn in the second lap, almost losing a position, managing to fend them off, but they are sniffing real close behind. So the chase is on in this infield road section, coming along the right hairpin. There's a car on the inside, and I know it, so I got to take a wider exit than I would like, and he unfortunately does get the power down better, so that's me down to P2. And as we head along the sweeping left, trying not to make contact, not sure if a move would be on, so electing to play it safe. And you can see Marco making contact on the back there, unfortunate for me, but there's no damage, so we exit the second hairpin, maybe getting a little bit slipstream that time, and making contact because I was distracted looking at the mirrors and I missed my braking zone, so the contact is immediately rewarded with losing a position, only 3% damage on the front wing. But we're going to stick with it into this banked oval, touching the flat part on the inside, touching the car on the outside. It is honestly not my strength doing these oval races. Taking the wall side into the bus stop here, gonna coast through, making up a lot of that distance, and then losing a lot of that distance again, unfortunately. Putting the power down out of the bus stop, gonna try and make another banked road pass, getting the slipstream, gonna pass to the outside, easy moving on the outside. The car is not going to try and shoulder check me. Wait, yes it is. Look at that fun contact by the AI. But gonna finish the second lap where I started the race in P1.
Your lap time was 1:30.
So it's on now to the 6th lap and the infield section, and we're coming towards the exit of that section there, and we're going towards that left-hander that does exit onto the banking turn. And like I said early on, you got to be careful. I went way too wide, put the power down to try and make up some of that time lost, and we are off the track. Luckily, the walls are very far once you get off the track on the inside, at least at this point. So managing to keep the car running and everything's good to go, almost making contact there on the outside, but down to P12, possibly P13. Nope, keeping it P12, which is okay. But we're going to stick with it on the bank turn, and we're heading towards that bus stop chicane. So going to make the pass on the outside, hit the bus stop, no contact, although it's a little dicey on the left side of the car there. Another track limit warning, so I have to give that position back, unfortunately. Just easing off the throttle and then right back onto it. Gonna stay in that slipstream and head around the penultimate corner here, getting P11 back, which is always nice. And as we finish lap 6, unfortunately in P11. Jumping ahead just a little bit now to the middle of the 11th lap on that infield section, and as you can see, there is an absolute conga line of slipstream happening ahead of me, which I am not able to capitalize on because frankly I'm just not that confident in getting the power down out of the hairpins. Getting a lot more comfortable with these cars, but it's still a challenge on some corners and some gradients of track. Moving to the inside, but not gonna make a move happen, and there goes the cars. But as we exit the infield section here, gonna slam the brakes, take the inside line, and the AI, seeing me approaching, thinks I will grind this man's rear right tire, but doesn't work, claiming P10 and back up into the points with a little less than half a race to go. Moving ahead a little bit now, just to the end stages of lap 12, entering and exiting the bus stop chicane, and still in P10, but we're gonna make it work for us here because the cars are starting to slow each other up, and as we enter the banked turn, we're gonna make a move on the down inside, almost making contact, but keeping it on the shorter track. 3 positions in 1 corner. You love to see that, up to P7. We move forward now to the end of lap 15, having tried and failed to make some moves, but keeping it clean. We're on that banked corner, and once again, closing distance, grabbing slipstream, moving on the inside, taking another 2 positions. And as we go on to the final banking, that slipstream still serving well, taking the outside, another 2 positions, up to P3 on lap 16, with 7¼ minutes left to go. Back down podium positions, the hunt is on, possibly for a win. And finally, we find ourselves on lap 18, having just come out of the bus stop chicane, and once again, the lead car of the pack has slowed up the traffic. So we're going to grab some slipstream coming around the banking here and going to make a move, trying to remember not to make contact, grabbing the outside. Car swerves to get out of the way just a little bit, finishing lap 18, starting lap 19, back in the lead. After that spin midway through the race, you love the feeling of that. And from there, it was just a matter of keeping all four wheels pointed in the correct direction, which, you know what, as the race went on, started to feel a lot, probably because of track evolution now, actually, now that I think about it. But I've been loving this track so much. I didn't think I would have such a great opinion of the track, and having played it with the wheel and pedals for, honestly, the first time ever in the wind-up to recording this, I understand the hype. This is an incredible track. I had a lot of fun racing on it, even though, you know, I spun off, but I learned from my mistakes. But it was a great race for me. Just gonna let this last lap play out and get back to yapping with the results.
Well done. The big Ragu, great win. You deserved that today.
So it is a win for the Big Ragu, clearing second place by 2 1/3 seconds, stomping on two Americans in the process on their home turf. I'd say sorry, but they're AI, and you know what? I don't feel bad. So the 9th round of the race is up next. That is at Brands Hatch, and man, it's tough. Like, the track looks simple, yes, but in these cars with all the bumping and all the hills, and some of the curves are pretty dangerous. Oh boy, that's going to be a challenge, but I'm going to get a little bit of practice in before I record shortly. That will be for the next video though. For now, thanks for watching. Have a good day, make good choices, and bye.